You ever have that feeling, your to-do list just grows and grows, and that one really big, important thing, it just keeps getting shuffled to tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there.
Yeah, feeling like you're always playing catch up. It's like this endless river of tasks, right? And you're just paddling hard against the current.
Constantly swimming upstream, yeah.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive that we hope is your shortcut, really, to getting a grip on personal productivity, time management.
hmm
Our mission here is to pull out the absolute key insights, the stuff that can genuinely change how you tackle your work, your day, your life.
And we're using a fantastic guide for this. Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done in Less Time.
Catchy title.
It is. And Tracy, he basically takes decades of time management wisdom and boils it down. Really practical, actionable steps. It's less about theory and much more about, you know, getting things done.
Okay, so let's unpack that title. Eat that frog. What's the deal with the frog? It's not literal, I hope.
Thankfully, no. The frog is a metaphor. It's your biggest, most important task,
Oh, okay.
the one you're most likely to put off, right? If you don't consciously decide to tackle it.
Gotcha. The big, hairy, maybe slightly intimidating task?
Exactly.
Mm.
And the core idea is if you tackle that task first thing, it can have the biggest positive impact on your day, on your results.
Makes sense. Get the tough stuff out of the way.
Right. And then the rest of the day feels, well, lighter. You have that win under your belt. It connects to that old saying.
Yeah.
Something like, if the first thing you do each morning is eat a live frog, you can go through the rest of the day knowing that's probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you.
Huh. I like that. It sets a pretty high bar for a worse thing.
It does, doesn't it? But what Tracy really hammers home is this. Your ability to pick out your most crucial task, your A1, your frog, and then just do it quickly and well. That skill will likely impact your success more than almost anything else.
More than talent. More than planning, even.
Well, he makes a pretty bold claim. He says an average person who builds this habit, this frog-eating habit, can actually outperform a genius who just makes brilliant plans but, never quite gets around to executing them.
Wow. So execution trumps genius planning if the genius doesn't act.
That's the idea. It
Yeah.
really shifts the focus to consistent action.
Okay, I'm sold on the why. But before you can eat the frog, you kind of need to know what the frog is, right?
Precisely. You need clarity.
So this first part is all about getting crystal clear on your goals, achieving that definiteness of purpose, as Tracy calls it.
Exactly. He argues that a huge reason we procrastinate, why we lack motivation, is just vagueness, confusion, being fuzzy about what we're actually supposed to be doing, when, and why.
Makes sense. Hard to hit a target you can't see.
Right. And his big rule here is think on paper.
Think on paper, like literally write things down.
Literally write them down. He mentions research suggesting only about 3% of adults have clear written goals. And guess what?
They get more done.
Way more. Like 5 to 10 times as much as people with similar or even better education who don't write their goals down.
5 to 10 times. That's huge.
It's staggering, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to help you get there, he lays out this 7-step formula. It's really practical.
Okay, let's hear it. What are the steps?
All right, step 1. Decide exactly what you want. Sounds simple, but you need absolute clarity. Think Stephen Covey, right? Make sure your ladder is leaning against the right building before you start climbing.
Good point. Don't climb the wrong ladder fast.
Exactly. Step 2. Write it down. This makes it real, tangible, an unwritten goal. He says it's just a wish, a fantasy.
Ouch. Okay, write it down. What's 3?
3. Set a deadline. A goal needs a target date. Without one, there's no urgency. It's just someday, which often means never.
Right. Deadlines create that necessary pressure, that focus.
They do. Then 4. Make a list of everything you need to do to achieve it. Break it down. This gives you a visual path, a track to run on.
So you see all the pieces.
5. Organize that list into a plan. Prioritize. Put the steps in sequence. What comes first, second, third? A visual layout helps here too.
Okay, plan it out. Almost there.
Nearly. 6 is crucial. Take action immediately. Just start. Even one small step. Tracy's adamant. An average plan vigorously executed is far better than a brilliant plan on which nothing is done. Execution is everything.
Action beats perfectionism. I like it.
And the last one.
7. Resolve to do something every single day that moves you towards that goal. Every day. Build it into your schedule. Never miss. He argues this single discipline, just doing something daily, can make you incredibly productive.
Wow, that's a solid framework. That daily action piece feels key. It's like that old saying, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Exactly. So how does that translate to, like, our daily planning? Not just the big goals, but the day-to-day stuff.
Well, it flows right into the importance of daily planning. Tracy says the
Mhm.
very act of planning, of thinking on paper about your day, unlocks your mental powers,
Yeah.
boosts
Like,
creativity.
just the act of planning. Yeah. And the flip side, action without planning, he says, is the cause of every failure. Think about
Wow.
that. Every failure.
Strong words.
They are. But he backs it up. He claims every minute you spend planning saves as many as 10 minutes in execution.
10 minutes saved for every 1 minute spent planning.
That's the ratio he gives.
Mhm.
So just 10 or 12 minutes of planning your day can save you up to 2 hours of wasted time and effort later on.
That's an incredible return on investment.
It really is. He references the old 6P formula. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance.
Classic.
And the core practice. Always work from a list. Make it the night before, ideally,
The night before? Why then?
because your subconscious mind can then work on that list while you sleep. You might wake up with insights, ideas on how to tackle things more effectively.
Huh. Interesting. Letting your brain do the work overnight.
And he suggests different kinds of lists, a master list for everything you ever want to do, then monthly, weekly, and crucially, your daily list of specific things for tomorrow.
Okay, so breaking it down into time frames.
Right. And as you complete items on your daily list, tick them off. Check that box. It gives you a visual sense of accomplishment, a feeling of success, of forward momentum. It actually motivates you.
I do love checking things off a list. It feels good.
It does. It's a psychological boost. This all ties into what he calls the 10-90 rule.
190.
Yeah, the first 10% of time you spend planning your tasks before you begin will save you as much as 90% of the time in getting the job done once you start.
Wow. So that upfront thinking really pays off downstream.
Hugely.
Okay, so we've got clear goals, we've got a daily plan, a list. But what about when that list is massive, when everything feels important, urgent? How do you pick the right frog when there are like a dozen croaking at you?
Ah, yes. The tyranny of the urgent, right? This brings us to a really critical point. It's not just about doing more things, it's about doing the right things.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly. And this is where the 80-20 rule comes in,
Hmm.
the Pareto principle.
Ah, Pareto. I've heard of this.
Right. Vilfredo Pareto, the economist, noticed this pattern. For many things, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes.
Like 20% of customers bring 80% of the revenue.
Precisely. Or 20% of products generate 80% of profits. And Tracy applies this directly to your tasks. 20% of your activities will account for 80% of the value, the results you produce.
So on a list of 10 things.
1 or 2 of those items will likely be worth more than the other 8 or 9 combined.
And those are the frogs.
Those are almost always your frogs. But here's the catch. Most people tend to procrastinate on that vital few, that top 10, 20%.
Why? Because they're harder. Bigger.
Often, yeah, because he's daunting. So people busy themselves with the trivial many, the bottom 80% that don't contribute much value. It feels productive, but it's not effective.
Busy work versus real work.
Exactly. So the rule Tracy proposes is adamantly refuse to work on tasks in the bottom 80% while you still have top 20% tasks left undone.
That takes discipline.
It does. He says time management is really about control over the sequence of events, control over what you do next. And your ability to choose between the important and the unimportant is the key determinant of your success.
Okay, the 80-20 rule makes sense conceptually, but honestly, sometimes it's hard to tell what's really in that top 20%, isn't it? When you're in the weeds, everything can feel like an A1 priority.
That's a very fair point. How do you really distinguish the vital few from the trivial many? Tracy's answer is, consider the consequences.
The consequences.
Yeah, think long term. Superior thinkers, he argues, take the time to accurately predict the potential consequences, positive or negative, of doing a task or not doing it.
So looking beyond the immediate deadline or pressure.
Exactly. He cites Dr. Edward Banfield from Harvard, whose research suggested that long-time perspective is maybe the most accurate predictor of upward social and economic mobility, more than family background, intelligence, whatever.
Really? Just how far ahead, you think?
Seems so. The rule becomes, long-term thinking improves short-term decision-making. What you hope to achieve in the future shapes what you prioritize right now.
Okay, that clicks. Like, investing time in learning a new skill might not pay off today, but the long-term consequence is huge.
Perfect example. Another rule he gives, future intent influences and often determines present actions, he quotes Dennis Whaley. Failures do what is tension-relieving, while winners do what is goal-achieving.
Ooh, that's sharp. Tension relieving versus goal achieving.
Yeah, think about it. Coming in early to prepare, Reading industry journals, taking courses, those are goal-achieving with long-term positive consequences. Coming in late, spending too much time socializing, that might relieve tension now, but the long-term consequences are often negative. Stagnation, frustration.
Right. So if a task has potentially large consequences, positive or negative, it's likely a high priority item. It's probably a frog.
That's the litmus test.
Yeah.
Ask, what are the potential consequences of doing or not doing this?
Okay, that helps filter things. Now, let's get really tactical. We have this list, we're thinking about consequences. How do we actually categorize these tasks day to day for maximum efficiency?
This is where his ABCDE method comes into play. It's simple, but really powerful for setting priorities on the fly.
ABCDE. Okay, walk me through it.
You take your list for the day. Before you start anything, you go through and label each item, A, B, C, D, or E.
Right.
A tasks are your must-dos, very important. Serious consequences, positive or negative if they aren't done. These are your frogs.
Okay, A is for frogs. What if I have multiple A's?
Good question. You then prioritize those. A1, A2, A3, and so on. Your A1 is your biggest, ugliest frog, the one you tackle first.
Got it. A1 is the main event. What about B?
B tasks are things you should do. They have mild consequences if you don't. Think of them as tadpoles.
Tadpoles. Cute.
Yeah. But the key rule, never do a B task when an A task is left undone. Don't get distracted by the tadpoles while the frog is still waiting.
Focus on the A's first. Makes sense. C?
C tasks are things that are nice to do, but have no real consequences whether you do them or not. Calling a friend, grabbing that extra coffee break, maybe checking social media.
Stuff that feels easy but doesn't really move the needle.
Exactly. Fun, maybe, but zero consequence for your important goals. Then D is for delegate.
Ah, getting it off your plate entirely.
Right. Delegate anything someone else can reasonably do. This frees up your time for those A tasks that only you can do.
Smart. And E?
E stands for eliminate. Just get rid of it. These are tasks that maybe they were important once but aren't anymore, or things you're doing out of habit that don't make a real difference. Be ruthless. If it doesn't matter, eliminate it.
A, B, C, D, E, must do, should do, nice to do, delegate, eliminate.
You got it. And the core discipline. Once you've labeled everything and identified your A1, start on it immediately and stick with it until it's 100% complete.
Don't bounce around. Focus on A1.
That's the key to making this method work.
Okay, that gives a solid structure for daily tasks. But let's zoom out again for a second. How does this connect to our overall job, our career path? How do we ensure our A tasks align with what we're actually supposed to be achieving in our role?
That's a great question. It brings us to the idea of focusing on key result areas, or KRA.
Key result areas, okay.
Tracy suggests asking yourself, why am I actually on the payroll? What specific results am I hired to deliver?
What outcomes define success in my job?
Exactly. Most jobs, he argues, have maybe 5 to 7 KRAs. These are the things you absolutely must do well to make your maximum contribution. If you don't do them, nobody else will. They are critical to your success.
So identifying those core responsibilities.
Yes. And then, importantly, grading yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing in each of your KRAs? Be honest.
Ooh, self-assessment. That can be tough.
It can, but it's crucial. Because as Tracy puts it, your weakest key result area sets the height at which you can use all your other skills and abilities.
Wow. So your weakest link determines your overall effectiveness.
That's the idea. It becomes a bottleneck. And guess what? We often procrastinate the most in the areas where we feel weakest, where we've performed poorly in the past.
Ah, so that weak KRA might actually be your biggest frog.
Very likely.
Yeah.
So identifying it is key. He suggests asking yourself another powerful question. What one skill, if I developed and did it in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest positive impact on my career?
Finding the leverage point for improvement.
Precisely. And then making the development of that skill a priority in a task itself.
That really ties the daily tasks back to the bigger picture. Okay, final point in this section. The constant pressure cooker reality. There's just never enough time to do everything. We all feel it. How do we actually deal with that unavoidable truth?
Yeah, that feeling of being perpetually behind.
Sure.
Tracy addresses this with the law of forced efficiency.
Forced efficiency sounds intense.
The law states, there is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing.
Okay, so, except you can't do it all.
Exactly. You will never be caught up. Let go of that illusion. Given that you can't do everything, you are always being forced to choose. The trick is to consciously choose the most important things.
Like when you have a sudden urgent deadline, You magically find the time by dropping everything else.
That's forced efficiency in action. You're forced to prioritize ruthlessly. The goal is to apply that same ruthless prioritization proactively, not just reactively under pressure. Because working under constant pressure, he notes, often leads to more stress, mistakes, and rework anyway.
So how do we proactively force our own efficiency?
But continually asking yourself 3 key questions. First, what are my highest value activities? What brings the biggest return on my time and energy?
Okay, highest value.
Second, borrowing from Peter Drucker. What can I and only I do that, if done well, will make a real difference? Focus on your unique contribution.
What only I can do.
And third, perhaps the core question of all time management. What is the most valuable use of my time right now? Constantly reevaluating in the moment.
What's the best thing I could be doing right now?
Exactly. And answering that question honestly, then acting on it, is the heart of effective time management. It forces you to focus on what truly matters. Remember Goethe's quote, "The things that matter most must never be at the mercy of the things that matter least."
Don't let the trivial crowd out the essential.
You got it.
Okay, this is powerful stuff. We've clarified goals, planned, prioritized using 80-20 and ABCDE, focused on key result areas, and accepted we need forced efficiency.
Right.
So we know what our frog is. Now, the moment of truth. How do we actually, start eating it? Especially when it looks big and warty. It's about action now, right?
Absolutely. All the planning and prioritizing is prelude. Now it's about execution. Tracy emphasizes that action orientation is a key trait, maybe the key trait, of high performers. These next strategies are all about the practical nitty-gritty of getting started and keeping going.
Let's dive in. How do we launch?
First step, prepare thoroughly before you begin. Get everything you need ready before you start the task.
Like mise en place for cooking. Get all your ingredients chopped and ready.
Exactly like that. Clear your workspace. Gather all the information, tools, materials you'll need. Have it all laid out right at hand. This overcomes a major hurdle to starting the friction of getting set up.
Removes excuses for delay.
Precisely. You become, like, as he puts it, a cocked gun or an archer with an arrow pulled back taut, ready to fire. He shares an anecdote about Hollywood scriptwriters always being almost ready to start, but never quite getting there because they hadn't done the prep work.
Preparation fuels action. Got it. What else helps get us moving?
Next is, do your homework, meaning get good at the task. The better your skills in a particular area, the more motivated you'll be to tackle it, and the faster you'll get it done. Lack of competence is a major reason for procrastination.
So difficulty breeds avoidance.
Often, yes. So continuous learning is key. He says it's the minimum requirement for success in any field. Read in your field daily, take courses, attend seminars, listen to audio programs while commuting.
Like we talked about with key result areas, improve that weak skill.
Exactly. Brian Tracy himself learned to touch type, just so he could write his first book more efficiently. Constantly upskilling makes those A tasks less intimidating and easier to start.
Makes sense. Learn more, fear less.
Right.
What about leaning into what we're already good at?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the next point. Leverage your special talents. Identify what you're uniquely good at. What comes easily to you? What do you enjoy? What gets you compliments?
Play to your strengths.
Right. Focus a significant portion of your energy on those high-yield areas where your natural talents lie. Your earning ability, he calls it, your most valuable asset. Don't waste it struggling excessively in areas where you have little aptitude if you can avoid or delegate it. Maximize your unique edge.
Okay, leverage strengths. But what about the things holding us back? The roadblocks.
Ah, yes. You need to identify your key constraints. What's the bottleneck? What's limiting the speed at which you achieve your goals? There's almost always one major limiting factor at any given time.
Like a choke point.
Exactly. And interestingly, he suggests that maybe 80% of constraints are internal.
Internal, like within ourselves.
Yeah. Our own qualities, habits, skills, or lack thereof. Maybe fear, self-doubt, lack of a specific skill, poor time management habits. Sometimes it's external, a person, a situation. But often, the biggest bottleneck is you.
So we need to ask, what is it in me that's holding me back?
That's the million-dollar question. Once you identify that key internal or external constraint, you focus your energy on alleviating that specific choke point.
Yeah.
That often provides the biggest leap in progress.
Find the bottleneck and break it. Okay. But what if the task, the frog itself, just feels massive, insurmountable, like building a pyramid.
Right, the truly overwhelming projects. The strategy here is take it one oil barrel at a time.
One oil barrel.
Yeah, it's an analogy. He talks about crossing the Sahara Desert.
Yeah.
It used to be marked by oil barrels placed every 5 kilometers. You couldn't see the end. You couldn't even see the barrel after next. You just needed to focus on reaching the next barrel.
Break it down into manageable chunks.
Exactly. Think, by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. Take that huge task and break it down into the smallest possible next action. What's the very next step? Just focus on that one step, that one bite of the frog.
Just see the next oil barrel. Don't worry about the whole desert yet.
Precisely. A great life, a great career, is built one task, one step, completed quickly and well at a time. Leap and the net will appear. Just take the first step.
I like that. Okay, so we're breaking it down. What about motivation? Do we wait for inspiration to strike? Or for our boss to push us?
Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
The next principle is put the pressure on yourself. Don't wait for external motivation. Be internally driven.
Be your own boss, essentially.
In a way, yes. Tracy claims only about 2% of people can work effectively without supervision. He challenges you, the listener, to be one of those 2%. Set higher standards for yourself than anyone else would. Imagine you have to leave town for a month, starting tomorrow. What would you absolutely have to get done today?
Ooh, that creates instant urgency.
Doesn't it? Or imagine you just want an all-expenses-paid vacation, but you leave tomorrow morning. What must you finish before you go? Identify those critical tasks and do them now, without the fake emergency. Create your own deadlines, your own sense of urgency. Go the extra mile, because you demand it of yourself.
Self-imposed pressure. Okay. This all requires energy, though. Mental, physical stamina. How do you sustain that?
Crucial point. You need to maximize your personal powers. Guard your energy levels fiercely. Physical, mental, emotional energy, they're intertwined.
So it's not just about time, it's about energy management, too.
Absolutely. Tracy notes productivity usually drops sharply after 8 or 9 hours of work. Working longer often means lower quality work and diminishing returns. So work smart, not just long.
And work when you're sharpest.
Yes. Identify your peak energy times. For most people, that's the morning. Schedule your most demanding tasks, your frogs, for those peak times. Don't waste your best energy on low-value tasks. Fatigue is a major cause of procrastination.
So maybe knocking off earlier is better than pushing through exhaustion.
Sometimes, he says, the very best use of your time is to go home early and go to bed. Getting enough sleep is critical. 1 extra hour of quality sleep can significantly boost your productivity the next day.
Sleep is a productivity tool. What else?
Take real breaks. 1 full day off each week, completely unplugged from work if possible. Regular vacations to recharge. And, importantly, fuel yourself properly. Eat like an athlete preparing for competition. High protein, low fat breakfast. Salads, lean protein for lunch. Avoid sugar crashes, excessive salt, white flour products. Good nutrition supports sustained mental clarity and energy.
Treat your body like a high-performance machine.
Because it is. Your physical well-being directly impacts your mental output.
Okay, energy managed. What about the mental game, staying positive when things get tough?
That's where motivate yourself into action comes in. You have to be your own cheerleader. Control your inner dialogue. Yeah. Tracy claims 95% of your emotions, positive or negative, are determined by how you talk to yourself moment to moment. So talk positively. Use affirmations. I like myself. I can do it. I feel terrific. Be deliberately cheerful and upbeat, even if you have to fake it initially.
Fake it till you make it.
To some extent, yes. Act the part of a positive, high-performing person you want to be, and cultivate optimism. 3 key habits of optimists. 1. Look for the good in every situation. 2. Seek the valuable lesson in every setback or difficulty. Remember, difficulties come not to obstruct, but to instruct.
Find the lesson. Okay.
And 3. Look for the solution to every problem. Focus on solutions, not blame or complaints. Think and talk continually about your goals and the future you're building, not about past problems or regrets.
Forward-looking, solution-oriented. That sounds powerful.
What fuels your drive?
Now, we talked about eliminating tasks with the ABCDE method, but is there a more strategic way to decide what not to do? Because we still can't do everything.
Excellent question. Yes, there is. It's called practice creative procrastination.
Creative procrastination. Isn't procrastination the enemy?
Well, since you can't do everything, you must procrastinate on something. The trick is to consciously choose to procrastinate on the low-value tasks, the C's, and maybe the B's if necessary.
So procrastinate on the tadpoles and the trivial stuff, not the frogs.
Exactly. High performers, Tracy observes, aren't necessarily people who don't procrastinate. They just procrastinate on different things than low performers do. They deliberately put off or ignore tasks that contribute little value so they can focus on the A's.
So we need posteriorities as well as priorities.
That's a great way to put it. Define your posteriorities tasks you will consciously do later, less of, or maybe not at all. This often involves learning to say no.
Saying no, that can be hard.
It can be one of the most powerful time management words. Say no, politely but firmly, to any request or activity that isn't a high-value use of your time aligned with your goals.
Protect your A time.
And related to this is applying zero-based thinking to your existing commitments. Ask yourself, knowing what I now know, if I wasn't already doing this, would I get into it again today?
Ooh, that's a tough question for ongoing projects or commitments.
It is. But if the honest answer is no, then you should seriously consider how to get out of it, delegate it, or eliminate it to free up time for higher value activities. Abandoning things that no longer make sense is a key part of creative procrastination.
Okay, procrastinate smartly on the low stuff. What about the ultimate frog eating technique, the core habit?
It's really a summary of many principles. Do the most difficult task first. This is the essence of eat that frog.
Back to the main course.
Right. The habit loop looks like this. The night before, make your list. Apply the ABCDE method and the 80-20 rule. Select your A1 task, your most important, often most difficult frog. Assemble everything you need to do it. Clear your workspace. And then, first thing in the morning, without hesitation, without checking email or getting sidetracked, start immediately on that A1 task and work on it without interruption until it's complete.
Just dive straight in.
Dive straight in. He suggests trying this for 21 consecutive days to build the habit. He claims it can double your productivity. Even just trying it just for today can show you the power of getting that big win early. It boosts your energy, your confidence, your sense of control for the entire rest of the day.
Eat that frog first. Got it. But what if that A1 frog is just enormous, like a multi-day or multi-week project? How do you eat that first thing?
Great point. For those truly huge, intimidating tasks, you need to slice and dice the task, break it down even further.
Like we talked about with the oil barrels, but maybe even smaller slices.
Exactly. Two specific techniques here. One is the salami slice method. Lay out the whole task visually, then just resolve to do one thin slice, one small, defined piece of it. Often, once you do that one slice, you gain momentum and feel motivated to do the next slice.
Just cut off one piece of salami.
Right. The other is the Swiss cheese method. Instead of slicing, you resolve to punch a hole in the task. This means committing to work on it for just a short, specific period, say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Like punching a hole in a block of Swiss cheese. Doesn't seem so
Yes,
bad.
exactly. You just commit to that small burst of focused time. Both methods work by lowering the barrier to starting. And they trigger what psychologists call the urge to completion or compulsion to closure. Starting something creates a mental tension that motivates you to finish it. It releases endorphins, makes you feel good, and pulls you forward.
So salami slice or Swiss cheese it to get started on the behemoths.
He mentions best-selling authors who use this: commit to writing just one page or one paragraph, or even just working for 15 minutes each day. Consistency builds momentum.
Okay, slicing helps start. What about finding the time for these big focused tasks? Our days are so fragmented.
That leads to the next strategy. Create large chunks of time. Important work, especially work requiring thought and concentration, often needs significant, unbroken blocks of time to be done well.
Deep work blocks.
Exactly. You need to proactively schedule these. Make appointments with yourself for 30, 60, or 90-minute chunks of focused work on your A1 tasks.
Block it out on the calendar like a meeting.
Yes. Treat it just as seriously. During that time, turn off all distractions, phone, email notifications, close unnecessary tabs. Work nonstop on that one task for the duration of the block.
Easier said than done in a busy office sometimes.
True. Sometimes working from home for the first hour or two of the day can be incredibly productive, maybe 3 times more productive than in a noisy office. Or using travel time, like on a plane, as a gift of time for focused work. The key is finding or creating those uninterrupted chunks. Remember, the pyramids were built one block at a time. You need focused time to place those blocks effectively.
Create the time, protect the time. Okay. We're nearing the end of the strategies. What's the key mindset to bring all this together?
It's about cultivating a sense of urgency. This isn't about frantic, stressed-out rushing. It's an inner drive, an impatience to get started on important tasks and get them done fast.
Action orientation again.
Yes, it's a hallmark of high performers. They develop a bias for action. They get things moving. When you work quickly and purposefully on your key tasks, You can actually enter a state of flow where work feels effortless, clear, and even exhilarating.
That sounds amazing. How do you cultivate that urgency?
It's partly a decision. Choose to move quickly. Develop the habit of starting key tasks right away. Use mantras if it helps. Do it now. Do it now. When you feel yourself slowing down or getting distracted, repeat, back to work, back to work.
Self-coaching in the moment.
Exactly. And this taps into the momentum principle. It takes a lot of energy to overcome inertia and get started, but much less energy to keep going once you're in motion. The faster you move, the more energy you generate, the more experience you gain, the more capable you feel, and the faster you want to keep moving. Build a reputation for speed and dependability.
Get the flywheel spinning.
That's a perfect analogy.
Okay, last principle, the ultimate one.
The final and perhaps most crucial principle that ties it all together. Single handle every task.
Single handle, meaning?
Meaning, select your most important task, your A1 frog, start it, and then stay with it, concentrating single-mindedly without diversion or distraction until it is 100% complete.
Wow. No multitasking, no switching, just see it through.
See it all the way through. Use that back-to-work mantra relentlessly to stay focused. Tracy claims this single practice, picking one important task and sticking with it until completion, can reduce the time needed by 50% or more compared to starting, stopping, and coming back to it later. Starting and stopping can actually increase total completion time by up to 500% due to the mental switching costs.
500%, that's mind-blowing.
It highlights the inefficiency of fragmented work. This requires immense self-discipline, he quotes Elbert Hubbard's definition. Self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not.
Whether you feel like it or not, that's the hard part.
That's the essence of it. And persistence is simply self-discipline in action. But here's the payoff. Every time you practice this, every time you push through and complete an important task, you build your character. You become stronger, more competent, more confident, happier. You start to feel like the master of your own destiny because you are choosing your actions deliberately.
Discipline builds competence, builds confidence. It's a cycle.
A powerful, positive cycle.
Okay. Wow. We have really taken a deep dive into Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. We've covered, well, maybe not all 21 ways explicitly, but the core principles behind stopping procrastination and really boosting your productivity.
We have. And the central theme, the core takeaway that runs through absolutely everything is simple, but really profound.
Which is?
Developing the habit of identifying and tackling your most important task, eating your frog first thing every single day.
And it is a habit, right? Something learnable.
Absolutely. It's a skill you can acquire through practice, consistent, deliberate practice. And when you start making these principles, the planning, the prioritizing, the focusing, the single handling, when they become a permanent part of how you operate, you enter what Tracy calls an ascending spiral of personal effectiveness.
An ascending spiral. I like the sound of that. Things just keep getting better.
Exactly. Your results improve, your confidence grows, which makes it easier to tackle bigger frogs, which leads to even better results. Your future, he suggests, becomes essentially unlimited when these habits are ingrained.
So for you listening right now, here's a final thought, something provocative to maybe chew on after this. If consistently applying just one of these techniques, seriously committing to planning your day every night, for example, or religiously tackling your A1 task first thing without fail, if just one could fundamentally change your daily output, what would the compounding effect be? On your work, your stress levels, your career, your life. Imagine the impact if you truly embodied, say, 5 or 10, or even all of these principles we've talked about today.
It's a powerful thing to consider.
Yeah. Imagine the version of yourself you could become. Not just, more productive in a mechanical sense, but more confident, definitely more in control, and probably profoundly happier as a result.
That's the ultimate promise, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Eat that frog.